Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. And we're zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth and understanding really the blueprint of your involvement, your role, your involvement with a manipulative individual, someone who might really have become toxic to you in your life, overwhelming. Is really cramping your style. Someone who has really sort of infiltrated your happiness, your joy, your bliss. These seem to be kind of experiences or a lifestyle that's now relegated to your distant past. You don't have a sense of your happy space. You don't have a feeling of health. You don't have an experience of clear thinking. You might have a lot of ruminations or repeated thoughts over and over and over and over again. These are called ruminations or flashbacks, where you're essentially living in the past, or you're trying to replay the things that this person has said, done, and you're sort of kind of lost in limbo, in a sort of cryptic twilight, where you don't really know where you stand in your relationship. You feel unhappy, and you don't know where you really stand in life. You feel essentially kind of lost or resourceless. And this oftentimes is because of a subconscious or lack of conscious awareness vow that you have made, a promise, a rule with which you are living by, a belief, which has been cemented in your personality, your understanding, your emotional repertoire, your emotional data bank, if you will, with regards to what you deserve and what you will pursue and what you will believe that you are capable of having, doing, feeling, and really, expressing in your life. And oftentimes this is because there's such a communication breakdown in a relationship with a manipulative individual. As you can say, manipulative, again, if we look back at our previous example of it being like a puppeteer and a puppet. So a puppeteer, as you might have watched when you were a child, it is an individual who is holding this stick, and then they're pulling the strings, and then they're expecting this puppet to obey the pulling of the strings, the command, the control. And that puppet has no control over their life. They don't have a sense of what we call empowerment. So this is an analogy for you to see how you feel pulled. And it's not even just like your heartstrings. It's not in sort of empathetic relationship. It is where this one is literally assigning a role for themselves to be above you. Literally, figuratively, all of that. So rather than having a sort of empathetic heart-to-heart, mind-to-mind, reality-to-reality experience or communication, this individual will cement within you, in a blueprint, like a blueprint or a design for a house, a rule, a regulation, a role for you to say stuck in. So being stuck means just that. It is like if you've ever, stepped in cement or stepped in quicksand. You cannot move. You are paralyzed. You are stunted. You are stifled. And stifled is very much the active word with which a lot of people are, feeling in their life. And it's not so much like they're taking a retreat. They're putting their life on pause. They're able to think about things and then emerge, renewed, or emerge happy, or making better choices, better decisions. They have a renewed perspective on life, and they're learning lessons. I'm not going to do that again, or etc. They are truly stifled. It's like a lid put on a very small saucepan. They cannot express themselves. They cannot communicate, or, they're stuck in these ruminations of anger. They're just constantly, feeling unheard, that they are not being listened to, validated. And then if this, goes on chronically, then this individual will experience a sense of stifling, restriction, and then that will create an anger and then furthermore, a resentment. And then this can oftentimes lead to outbursts, rage outbursts, or even violence. Violence turned against others, violence turned against the self, self-injurious behavior, irrational thoughts, irrational behaviors, saying things that you didn't mean, doing things that you feel that you've done by accident or getting you in trouble. You know, all this is like a ricochet effect. It's like, you know, a super ball in a room. It just keeps going and going and going, and it's really chaotic. It's really all over the place. And so I want you to understand and really look at is, what sort of vows have you made to the narcissist? What sort of vows have you made to the emotional manipulator? What sort of vows have you made to the psychopath? And a vow is a commitment. A vow is like an exchange of vows, like we think of in the consummation of marriage. Vows are what, you know, are at the very seat of your soul. It tends to be like a seed that creates all that manifests and presents itself in your life. So a vow is very much a subconscious position with which you have made to this individual. In other words, you need to uncover this and become more aware of this in your life. In other words, you know, you need to ask yourself, what emotional vows have I made to this person? Now that we are where we are, what emotional vows have I made? Have I relegated myself to unhappiness, feeling less than, feeling dark, diminished, hurt, and wounded? See the emotional feelings which are tied to this. How do I truly feel when I'm around this person? And you can, a very telltale sign is that you continue to go back, even though you might wish, want, desire your feelings to be different around this person, around discussion of this person. You constantly seem to go back into the divot of the road. You seem to, your emotions take a dip. You know, you're becoming either hurt, wounded, suspicious, feeling less than. These are feelings with which you are relegated to when you're around this person. And when you go no contact for some period of time, or you are working on yourself in your relationship, you begin to spring forth life back again. You begin to smile. The muscles in your face work for you rather than against you. Your emotions are uplifted. You don't feel so bad. You don't feel so down. You don't feel so stuck. You don't feel so stifled. You don't feel so beat up. And what ends up happening, if you're with these types of people for long enough or too long, you begin to internalize their vows or their rules and regulation for you. So you begin to live in a less than state. You begin to develop the social anxiety, lack of trust when you're out in the world at large, or when you're trying to emerge from the relationship. You feel like you don't have it together. You feel like, you can't keep it together. You feel shy. You have social awkwardness or uncomfortability, which means you don't really have a sense of yourself and you don't really understand your place in life. And furthermore, you don't feel okay about this. It's because you are living by that law of the lid, where you're like a big lid on a tiny saucepan. This person has tried to relegate you to a vow of being really sort of compartmentalized, put into a very small place with which they can have control over you, manipulation over you, control over your feelings. And this is an error of perception. No one can make you feel less than without your permission, without allowing it to be so. Take a look at your own sense of emotions. Get the happiness working in your face. Begin to surround yourself and absorb the more positive. Find what makes you tick. Find what makes you happy. Find where you come alive. And oftentimes this, might be part of the healing journey. So you might need to really do some emotional repair work just to get to that place. But really releasing the vows to this person of feeling less than, of feeling diminished by, of feeling dwarfed by, of feeling inadequate by, of feeling guilted by, regret by a sense of receiving or feeling their anger, their condemnation, their belittlement, all that they have projected. Release the vow now to feeling committed to those negative feelings, and release your commitment to these negative feelings, because chances are, if you are still suffering, it's because you have made a vow to this person or to yourself to feel less than when it comes to your relation or your juxtaposition, your quote-unquote comparison or relationship with them. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.